Before starting this video, I request you all to please like and subscribe as it really motivates me a lot. The story began as we saw the female protagonist overwhelmed with pain, tears glistening in her eyes while she struggled to endure the discomfort. A boy beside her spoke gently, telling her to remain patient, reassuring her that everything would soon be all right. A few maids nearby stood watching. One of them whispered that the butler attending the lady was a known obsessive neat freak. Another maid responded with agreement, saying she could not imagine what the consequences would be like if the surroundings were not properly cleaned. After finishing his task, the butler informed the young lady in a calm voice that she was completely fine now. Inside her mind, she thought, another large fishbone? How utterly humiliating it is to experience something so awkward. Eating truly feels like a punishment to me. The boy offered to contact a doctor if she still experienced any pain. She quickly declined his offer and instead told him to focus on completing his homework. While looking away, she thought bitterly, even within this world governed by scripts, I must continue to study during holidays. And not just regular lessons, it is practical fieldwork. The boy simply smiled at her in response. Later that night, the young lady called out to the boy. She invited him into the room to read a bedtime story and gently pulled up the blanket over herself. The boy, looking slightly amused, asked softly if she was no longer afraid of him. At that moment, he was holding the blanket, which, eerily, still showed signs of dried blood. The girl replied, telling him that she wasn't afraid anymore. She said he needed to go on his nightly patrols to ensure the safety of the mansion and that she worried about him. She added that if there was anything bothering him, he could tell her about it. Then she quietly said she wished he could remain by her side forever. Inside her thoughts, she cried, "Couldn't you see earlier? I couldn't even open my eyes. You're emotionally manipulating me. Please, don't kill me." The boy then replied that something truly was bothering him. He had finished reading every book in the room. Shocked, the girl exclaimed, asking how he had managed to do that so quickly. After a moment of surprise, she asked if he could create stories from his imagination, as she wanted to hear one of his own. He began to tell a tale about a thief who had stolen a precious gemstone and about a hitman assigned to retrieve it through assassination. The main character, visibly unsettled, quickly told him that was enough and that she would be going to sleep now. She added absent-mindedly that fish bones frequently got stuck in her throat, and sometimes it felt like the bones were enough to assemble a whole fish inside her. She then apologized, saying she didn't know he was so obsessed with cleanliness. The boy responded softly, telling her that she was not dirty at all and that he always made sure to keep her perfectly clean. Hearing this, the main character blushed. Meanwhile, deep in the basement, an unsettling scene unfolded. Someone was carefully cleaning the same fishbone that had caused her pain and placing it meticulously back onto the fish's skeleton. It was the butler, the same eerie young man. He stood in a dimly lit room, the walls covered with photographs of the female lead. And then the scene shifted. A prestigious contest was about to begin. A group of elites, top performers from the most renowned universities in the nation, gathered together. The host welcomed everyone and introduced the genius behind the concept, Mr. Mu Han, the mastermind responsible for creating the elaborate virtual world. He explained that Dream was a host program that managed the operation of the script-based universe. Within Dream, players were able to fully immerse themselves into the roles written into the stories. They could even alter the destinies of those characters. Dream's script shop invited people to step into entirely new worlds and live as protagonists in countless adventures. Then began the tale. Once upon a time, in a snow-covered mountain manor, familiar murder mysteries, often seen in novels and dramas, were now unfolding in real time. We saw the main character running, her breath heavy as snow fell around her. She came to a halt and muttered in frustration, wondering why the game still had not ended. Within this new world, she played the role of the noble young lady of the manor, her player ID labeled Luo Meng. While running, she stumbled on something lying across the floor and fell forward in pain. As she looked down, her eyes widened. It was a corpse with pitch-black, lifeless eyes. Suddenly, a man appeared and asked coldly, where she thought she was going. Trembling, she moved backward, begging him not to kill her and to stop the murders. Smiling wickedly, the man, revealed to be the butler of the manor, responded in a soft, eerie tone. He told her he would never harm her and only wished to place a collar around her neck. With that, he shoved her down onto the cold floor. He kissed her and whispered that he wanted her to stay by his side for eternity. He smiled like a madman. The girl, terrified and on the verge of tears, called out his name. Her thoughts raced. I must have exhausted every ounce of luck in my life to encounter him again. Flashback to her real-life identity. Luo Meng, an 18-year-old university student blessed with wealth and good fortune. She once asked her father if he had located the boy she desired. Her father dismissed the topic, calling the boy disgraceful and promising to find her newer, more handsome companions, if only she would eat properly. Frustrated, she screamed that he did not understand her at all. She said she was going home and running away. The father called after her, pointing out that she had already run away that very morning. Meanwhile, the household staff murmured that the boy she was looking for wasn't even. The father interrupted sternly, forbidding them to speak of it further. He sighed and said it would be best to tolerate her tantrums for now, and then urged them all to proceed. As news about script games spread, Luo Meng wondered thoughtfully. When did such games become so popular? And why were they never advertised? She wondered. Suddenly, her eyes caught sight of someone she recognized. The leader of the development team was none other than Mu Han, the very boy she once admired deeply. A memory flashed in her mind. 1 year ago, Mu Han had extended his hand to her and said, "From today onward, I shall be your private tutor, my lady." At that time, she had failed 4 courses in a row and had spent a large amount of money to hire a capable tutor. Mu Han, a prodigy in computer science, had skipped multiple grades and attended the most prestigious university in the country. He had also been a senior at her middle school, a cold, strange genius with no expression and a terrible personality. Still, he had always responded to every one of her thoughts. No matter how wild or chaotic her ideas were, he could translate them into flawless narratives, like running a perfect program. One day, she hugged him tightly and confessed, saying she liked him. He told her that he would give her an answer at the birthday party. That day, for the first time, his deadpan face showed a smile. But after that, he vanished without a trace. Her father later told her that no one had entered their home in over 10 years. She had never employed a tutor. When she called the laboratory to check, the reply confirmed that no such student had ever existed. Everything and everyone had forgotten him. It was as if he had never existed at all. But she knew her memories were real. She muttered in disbelief. How could someone completely disappear like that? Was he trying to escape my confession? I've been searching all this time. And now, you reappear, living freely while I've suffered humiliation. Determined, she entered a hidden room filled with technological equipment. She scoffed, saying Mu Han's creation looked too basic. She expected something grander. Suddenly, a large wolf appeared and greeted her politely. Shocked, she ran, screaming that a monster was chasing her. The wolf laughed and apologized for scaring her. He introduced himself as Chung Meng, the system host of the game. He informed her that she had booked the store for the day and asked if the story script interested her. She replied that she didn't quite understand the plot and requested something simpler and more thrilling. Just then, a cat entered and began browsing the scripts. She interrupted and asked if he knew Mu Han and demanded to be taken to him. Hearing the name, the cat froze in disbelief, dropping all the script books from shock. One of the books was authored by Mu Han and marked with the Dream Production Team logo. She demanded an explanation. The cat tried to stop her, saying that the book must not be opened. But she forcefully pulled it open anyway. Suddenly, red lights flashed, warning alarms blaring. The system declared that the script activation was now complete. The player would be transported into the first storyline, and compatible characters were being identified. She gasped, feeling the ground beneath her split apart. No, This is the game's beginning, she realized. She had just been assigned the role, Lady of the Mountain Manor. As the first chapter began, titled The Mountain Manor Murder Case, she fell into darkness. A voice called out to her. She struggled to open her eyes. The boy's voice came through gently. "Are you all right, my lady?" As soon as she saw him, she rushed forward and embraced him tightly, believing the boy to be Mu-Han. She embraced him even tighter and inquired whether it was truly him. All of a sudden, she collapsed onto the floor. She regained consciousness once more and wondered aloud where she was and what kind of place it could possibly be. A maid entered the room, excitedly stating that the young lady had finally regained consciousness and that she had fainted inside the study. Everyone was extremely concerned. The maid mentioned they needed to inform the master that the young lady was now awake and requested her to wait for a brief moment. She asked the maid to pause and inquired about the boy who was seated beside her bed. She got out of bed and thought to herself whether it was truly her own self. She commented internally that she looked extremely youthful. It felt just like she had traveled through the passage of time. Suddenly, a hand extended through the window and a voice summoned her outside. The voice continued, saying that she forcefully opened the script and there did not appear to be any serious damage. She grabbed him and questioned him while shaking him. She wanted to confirm whether the script was written by Mu-Han and whether she had just met him in person upon her arrival. She asked where he was now. The cat asked the young lady to remain calm and then snapped his fingers. He explained that, as the dungeon master, he would like to formally introduce the script to her. He narrated that her current identity was that of the young lady of a noble manor, currently 12 years of age. As arranged by the family, she was engaged to her childhood friend, the young master. Their wedding ceremony was planned to be held on her 18th birthday. However, one unfortunate day, a girl of entirely common background suddenly appeared and seemed destined to be the young master's long-lost sister. The girl was constantly injured, and others said it was due to the kind intentions of the young lady, intentions that stemmed from jealousy and were meant to educate her. But no one would ever blame the noble-born young lady. From that day forward, the fiancé began to dislike the engagement. Many years later, on the day of the wedding, the young master brought that girl directly into the ceremony. It was also on that same day that a horrifying murder case occurred inside the manor. The girl exclaimed with shock, wondering aloud what kind of character could do such a thing and questioning what kind of role she herself had been assigned. The cat responded that her role was to stop the killer from committing murder. She refused, stating that she did not wish to participate in the script and wanted to quit entirely. The cat replied regretfully that because she had activated the script forcefully, she would now be required to complete the game. If she did not do so, it would continue until her death. She expressed shock and concern, but the cat advised her not to worry. He told her that the character she played followed a thrilling and suspenseful storyline. He added that the exclusive hint system for her character had now been activated. She asked him to wait and at least tell her the identity of the killer. At that moment, the door opened suddenly. The cat said, "Miss Who?" and added that, with her brilliance and natural ability, she would certainly discover who the killer was. Then they saw a boy with snow-white hair and pink eyes holding something while staring at her blankly. She thought about who had barged in so unexpectedly and why he was holding a knife. He tried to walk toward her, and she asked for help. But then he suddenly revealed he was holding a bouquet of flowers. She stared at it and wondered what it was. The boy remarked that it seemed she had injured her head severely and now appeared to be speaking to empty air. He noted that the other characters could not see the little cat. She looked at him and asked whether that meant she had to act kindly toward the young master. The young master became angry and accused her of being truly malicious. He admitted that he misjudged her. He lifted his hand and declared that he would deliver a slap in return for all the unjust bullying she committed. As he was about to slap her, someone else grabbed his arm tightly. The annoying fiancé asked who the person was. The newcomer stated that the young lady had asked him to leave, and he kindly requested him to follow. Her eyes widened as she looked at him. The fiancé hesitated, sweated nervously, and withdrew his hand. He muttered that it was unfortunate and said he would take his leave. She abruptly shut the door and walked back inside. She exclaimed with joy. The boy picked up the tray of refreshments and brought them to her. He said that it was wonderful to see she was all right and mentioned he had prepared snacks for her. He asked if she still had an appetite. She stared at him with shock and fear. The character known as the butler appeared, and the system window displayed information. He asked with a cold expression whether she saw something. It was now revealed. 6 years later, he would become the killer of everyone in the manor. She stated that the individual standing in front of her was the young master. He inquired from her what exactly she had witnessed. Her thoughts turned completely blank, and she contemplated with dread that he might possibly be the one to kill her in the near future. How truly bizarre, she reflected, that unmistakably familiar face, even though he appeared visibly younger, suddenly seemed like that of a total stranger. He stared at her with a cold gaze, like a serpent ready to devour its prey. Then, quite unexpectedly, he began clapping and announced that he was merely joking and asked whether he had frightened her. She snapped back to awareness. The butler proceeded to take his leave, stating that he would no longer cause disturbance and that the young lady could rest in peace. The girl requested him to stop, while thinking that they had finally reunited after so long. She firmly told him not to even entertain the idea of escaping, saying that she had been searching for him for an extensive period of time and demanded to know why he had hidden from her. While gripping his arm tightly, she wondered internally why he was showing absolutely no reaction at all. He observed her, completely unable to process the flood of information. Then, he took hold of her hand and told her that he had always been within the manor, only that he seldom had the opportunity to encounter the young miss. She accused him of still pretending not to recognize her and remarked that she could not believe she had just allowed herself to become so emotional. Then she said she understood now he must be feeling guilty. She said she would offer him a way out, that she would let it go, since she had once destroyed his hard drive and he had not borne a grudge.